Andy, we're in the summer doldrums when it comes to sports, but NBA had some free agency buzz last week. NFL training camps quite aren't ready yet, but the buzz is coming out. Are you ready for the Summer Olympics though, Andy?
Dave, I'm not. I'm not. I'm so fixated right now on the soccer tournaments that I haven't even thought about the Olympics quite yet.
Yeah. Are you for we'll make the one of our the soccer tournaments one of our 3x7s, but are you a big Olympics fan just in general or
I am.
not?
Yeah, I am. I think they're awesome. I think they're awesome. It's just like it's all the good of like diplomacy and being part of the world, right? Just countries from all over the world sending their best athletes to compete in non-violent competition. You know what I mean? Just having fun out there. When you see, the big countries in certain sports duking it out, it's awesome. When you see the upstarts, this amazing athlete from some random country, coming out and just doing phenomenal. I think it's so exciting. I think it's really cool, especially the Summer Olympics. When I was Winter Olympics, I'm not a winter enthusiast, so like I pay attention a little bit, but summer, like, for sure.
The Olympics are always I feel like it's those the sports that you just like every 4 years, like you're never a track and field person year over year or a swimming person year over year.
Yeah.
But yet every 4 years you're now an expert in the butterfly or the breaststroke or what the 100 meters, the hurdles and all this other stuff. Do you get caught up in the medal count or do you care about that at all?
No, I care. I care.
Yeah.
The US needs to do well. I mean, it's like it's shameful if we don't. I mean, the US China competition, the old US, Russia and even US Soviet competition, like that, to me, that's a big deal. So I think it's a matter of national chest puffing. It's cool to be able to say you got the most medals and the most golds. I think it's important.
Okay. Yeah, I tend to like it too. I'm not so sure I worry like, oh, we were down from this year over last year and this
Mhm.
or that. But I do enjoy, that spirit and the fun time. So I love the swimming, so I'll definitely be watching a lot of the swimming. All right, Andy, let's jump into our 3x7s. We'll use that as a segue there. I'll start. I don't have the timer on the screen here, Andy, but I have my own timer unless you want. Oh, there we go. We'll start. Here we go.
I don't know
We'll
what you're talking
start.
about, Dave. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. So let's start on the thing. Andy, we'll start with the Euros. And we can talk Copa if we want to a little bit, but um Friday I was immersed. I
Yeah.
was I was fully immersed. We had I was working at home that day, so I could have the TV on in the background. What I loved was Germany and Spain was at noon, and then at 3 o'clock was France and I think it was Portugal.
Right.
Um,
Huge game.
Huge games, and I was watching Germany and Spain throughout, and what a game that was. And I will say one thing that always continues to confuse me is this whole like I get kicked on the shin and now I'm down for 10 minutes type of thing. I don't understand that. I don't understand what the strategy there is that they continue to sit their ass on the ground. But Germany was really physical. Spain had a lot of young players, and I thought Germany was going to win this game. I thought the refs were a little sketchy just on what they gave Spain on some of those things, but
Yeah.
Germany had a huge goal near the end of the game to tie it. Then they went into extra time, and then unfortunately Spain won. I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes before the second extra time.
Yeah.
And what a deflating thing because the crowd obviously was in Germany. It was in Stuttgart, so I'm familiar with Stuttgart and the stadium there. So that was deflating. And then I engaged with our German friend here who listens to our loyal listener from Germany
Yeah.
um, on a little bit. So I was fully immersed, Andy. I loved it. It was exciting soccer. But again, this is like the Olympics. Every 4 years, I'll be in for something, and then I won't watch it day over day. What
Well,
do you think?
maybe it's a gateway for you, Dave. One, I commend you for watching. I know it's not your traditional sports. I commend you for watching, and I'm impressed by your German language, flexing on the socials there as you were speaking some German on Threads. That was impressive. But you made
I
a
don't
game.
know if it was grammatically correct, Andy. I'm not great on that, but
Hey,
we'll
the
try.
effort was there. I mean, it was commendable. But then, as you get into it with the Euros and maybe the Copas a little bit right now, then the Olympics come around. The World Cup comes around. I mean, maybe you'll get brought into the world of international soccer. It was, I mean, the Germany-Spain game was anticipated as maybe the two best teams in the tournament battling. I didn't get to see that whole game. I missed a good part of it, to be honest. But it sounds like it was some questionable activities, especially towards the end, but a good battle between two really great teams. Wish Germany had pulled it out. We'll see. Spain's, I think, the favorite to win the tournament right now. We'll see if they can do it or not. But the flop's a funny one. I mean, first, there's some legitimacy here, right? I mean, you've got two grown men colliding into each other at very fast speeds. Cleats hurt, knees banging hurts, heads banging. There's some legitimacy to it, but there's also, I mean, soccer mastered the flop before the NBA did, right? And so guys will throw down and try and get that card to give another player, try and get that whistle and that free kick. They're pretty pro. It's always fun to see them, in grueling misery for a minute on the ground, writhing in pain, no whistle, and they get up and they're running, right afterwards, like nothing happened. So it's part of the game. There's some good drama. I think they take as much drama class as they do soccer practice when you get to that level. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. That was a big game. The Portugal game, you know, they went out with a whimper, Portugal, but France has not been impressive so far. So it's kind of funny to see them go through the tournament without scoring goals. It was really interesting. And then of course Saturday, Dave, was a big one. I don't know if you saw those games, but big game Saturday.
Yeah, they're just exciting all around. I wasn't able to see all the Saturday games, but I think England won,
Yeah.
which is exciting, and so they're down to the final four, Andy. I mean, where are you looking at? What are you thinking on your end, where we go from here?
Well, let's say I'll mention it. I think Turkey really surprised. I mean,
Oh
they
yeah,
they really played some great, soccer, surpassed expectations, fun to watch, and I really like the way they play. That was a really good game. The Netherlands were the better team. They won. I think right now, Spain's probably the best team left in the tournament as far as what they've displayed on the field, their ability to get after it and score goals. I don't know if the other teams can keep up with that level of intensity. They haven't shown they can so far. And France is the most boring team so far, without a doubt. So I don't know how that battle's going to go between those two, but it's four good teams. And I think the Netherlands is probably the neutral party's favorite right now. Sort of like everybody kind of likes the Netherlands and go Team Orange. I'm biased. I'm cheering for England to win for sure. But I'd like to see England do it. I don't have any issue with Netherlands or France doing it. I'd like to see Spain bounce just because I'd like to see Spain bounced. So we'll see what happens. I think it's gonna be exciting days. Tuesday, Wednesday, semis. It's gonna be great soccer.
yeah. And again, 3 o'clock Eastern time games for those. I mean, that's perfect time. And I obviously I get it. It's Europe. It's 5, 6 hours ahead,
Yeah.
so it's perfect timing. But yeah, Spain and France on Tuesday, and then the Netherlands and England on Wednesday, and
Yeah.
then the finals the weekend. It's going to be super exciting. Any predictions, Andy?
I think Spain and England will do it. I don't have any confidence in that whatsoever.
Yeah, okay. I always like the orange. The Netherlands are
Yeah.
the huge fan. Like, and let me just tell you, like when you go to the Netherlands, I mean, orange is not just their color. Like it is all over the country. Like orange is everywhere. They do not shirk from that at all. So it'd be exciting to see. I will most likely try to watch as much as I can, just doing the work hours on that. And so, are you watching any of the Copa?
Dave, we were watching Friday night as Canada and Venezuela duked it out in an ugly game. I mean, Venezuela played some aggressive, rough football, some questionable non-calls in that one as well as the goalie assaulted the player on the sideline, which happens. It was usually a card, no card for it this time around, and Canada won. It was a pretty exciting victory for Canada to get that tournament win. I think it's their first time getting this far in the tournament. It's really exciting to see them play. They've got to play Argentina, tough draw, right? But exciting four there too with Canada, Argentina, Colombia, who looks really good, and Uruguay, who's always good. I think they won the first two World Cups if my memory's working correctly. So good soccer on both sides of the ocean. Looking forward to it, Dave. Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, the soccer enthusiasts definitely have their fill of games this week, and then I think there's the Olympic soccer too. So that'll
Yeah,
be a
yeah,
lot of fun. So maybe Andy, we'll see. Maybe we'll get into a little bit more of it. So,
yeah. That's what happens.
all all right, Andy, let's roll into our second topic here. I think we have to talk politics. We'll probably not stick on any one particular topic, but let's start with the calls for Biden leaving are getting stronger and stronger. Andy, he
Yeah.
did a primetime interview. Some would say it was fine, but others would say nope, it continues to reinforce the issues. They continue to call for Kamala Harris to be the nominee. Um, where are you standing on your Joe must go or stay line?
Well, I mean, Joe's probably not going to go, right? I mean, he's thrown the gauntlet down. I think he said something along the lines of like, Only God can
Yeah.
withdraw from the race," right? And I did see kind of a funny meme posted on the 4th of July. David was talking about how Jefferson and Hamilton died within hours of each other on the 4th of July. And somebody basically posted that and said, it'd be a great throwback if God could just do that one more time, and take out the current candidates. But you know, I don't think Joe Biden's going to resign, right? I mean, this is his dream was to have this, position to be the president. It's been his dream for probably his whole life, really, but certainly for his professional political career, which spans longer than our lifetimes. Um, so he's not leaving, and I think what this really brings up is the importance of the vice president, right? And so I think Kamala Harris has never been more important, and so for Democrats to present her as, hey, look, here's what Joe Biden's done in 4 years, and we're still confident in him, and we're going to support him, and he's going to have the best cast around him we can give him, and should something happen, have confidence that Kamala Harris is in the wings, capable, and ready to serve. I mean, I think that's got to be the messaging, and remind people that you don't have to have her at the top of the ticket to have a backup plan. It's kind of baked into the whole process, right? So I'm not advocating for Kamala Harris. I'm not telling Joe Biden he should stay in the race. I'm saying that's the reality of how this works. So I think Democrats have to make the case for the Biden Harris, 2024 campaign, and emphasize the fact that, hey, we've got our person ready. Should the president be unable to serve, Ms. Harris is ready to serve, right? And I think they've got to really sell that. I don't know if they will, I don't know if they can, but I don't think Joe's going anywhere.
Well, they if they're gonna sell it, they have to actually put her out front. Now she was out front a little bit this weekend. I think she was in New Orleans and talking a little bit more. But they actually have to put her somewhere. I mean, I think that's been the biggest issue. For 4 years, she was busy in the beginning, and then she went away. I think she had some gaffes or whatever, but she's the vice president, so she's going to have some gaffes. The best political show of all time is probably Veep, Andy, if you haven't seen that on HBO. But talking about gaffes, um, but they have to do something with her. I think that's the issue is they just haven't. She hasn't been out front. So we'll see how this plays out. Andy, in other politics news, we talked about like the UK and their changes in
Yeah.
government. But in France, they had well, they I don't know how to best describe it, Andy. It seemed like some shady shit. But after the first round of politics, after the first round of voting in this snap election, I just love it when politicians can call an election at any time they want to.
Yeah.
I know there's some rules around it, but they called an election. It went really badly. It looked like France was going to be taken over by the far right side of the spectrum in France. Um, and so what happened is all other candidates and such started dropping out and doing some other. I couldn't follow it all, Andy, to be frank. But the far right didn't take over. There's a lot of disappointment over there. Did you track any of this over the weekend?
I thought it was fascinating. I mean, at so many levels. It's interesting to watch what's happening in the UK and France right now. But the French elections were certainly more interesting. The UK was expected and surpassed expectations. The Labour Party, they did phenomenal. But in France, I mean, the far right candidate, Marie Le Pen, her party looked on route for a victory, and then just didn't. I mean, the left came together, put up a united front, turned it back. Just to connect it with soccer, I don't know if you saw there was sort of a back and forth with Marie Le Pen and French soccer star Kylian Mbappe, who's phenomenal out there playing right now, the broken nose, and some of his comments. And look, the French people said this is not who we want, leading this nation right now, right? So while there's a lot of support for Marie Le Pen, it's a long story. The party's grown over time. She took it over from her father, went from fringe to mainstream, but the left was able to pull it together and turn back the insurgent sort of push, and now they've got to figure out how to govern, right? Now the president Francois Macron's got to figure out how to put things together, organize things. Macron, but Emmanuel Macron. I'm sorry, not Francois Macron. Emmanuel Macron. Yeah, figure out how to govern. So there's some things to figure out yet, but it's just interesting how this can all work and how they can unite together. Candidates dropping out, supporting one another to counter, what they saw as a threat. I think it's fascinating and a credit to French democracy that it's happened. And so far, Dave, like in the UK, no claims of voter fraud, no claims of a stolen election, no claims that it was rigged. Just pointing that out. Just
Yeah.
pointing that out.
Yeah, that is always fun. It's nice to have an election where nobody's complaining about voter fraud and stolen election and buying into all the lies. So it's this continues to be fascinating, and we'll this is just a tip. The UK and France were just kind of getting the ball rolling. Earlier this year, we had Mexico, a great
Yeah.
election in Mexico where they elected their first female leader, and so we'll see where we go from here. So. The campaign season is going to get ready to get started here with the conventions coming up at the end of this month here in the United States, or is it August? I can't remember because I
A little
block
bit
it
of
off.
both. A little bit of both, Dave.
Yeah. So, all right, Andy. So let's wrap that one up on that topic. So we'll cancel that timer and we'll start with our last one, Andy. It's a little the same. Last week there was this discussion about how violent extremists there was some reporting about how violent extremists were targeting Tennessee of all places
Yeah.
as a place for white nationalism and all this other stuff. Andy, we have a separate security related deal that we talked through, and this was one of our topics, but I didn't, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. They've had a couple things. But then this weekend, Andy, in Nashville, we had a pretty big Proud Boys march or whatever kind of freedom group that they claim to be, these
Yeah.
patriots marching through the streets of Nashville. A lot of things occurred. There were some posts on social media about fights between like just normal citizens and these groups, unmasking some of them because they all
Yeah.
wear masks and such. There's a lot of jokes about these were all undercover FBI people because they wore the same uniform, plaid pants and
Yeah.
or tan pants and a blue polo or whatever. People get a life, please. Let's do that. But interesting time there. And then Andy, I want to call out I'm in the great state of North Carolina. I love everything about the state. Andy, I want to call out some remarks that the lieutenant governor for North Carolina, he's a gubernatorial nominee as well. He
Yeah.
told a church audience, and this was not this last weekend, but the weekend before, that some folks just need killing, Andy.
Just need
Um,
killing.
just need killing. So we find ourselves struggling with people who have evil intent. There was a time in which we used to meet evil on the battlefield. Guess what? We need to do it. We killed it. We didn't quibble about it. We didn't argue about it. We didn't fight about it. We killed it. He talked about the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor. What did we do? We went and they didn't. We didn't start a fight. They did. We did it. And so some liberals somewhere is going to say that sounds awful. Too bad. Get mad at me if you want it. Some folks need killing. It's time for somebody to say it. It's not a matter of vengeance. It's not a matter of being mean or spiteful. It's a matter of necessity. And then when he was pressed on the comments afterwards, he said, when we have wicked people doing wicked things, torturing and murdering and raping, it's time to call it out. Those guys in green, I'm assuming he means the military, and go have them handled, or those guys in blue and have them go handle it. The guys in blue being the police. Andy, pretty pretty tough comments there, Andy. What do you, so two incidents, Andy, what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, I'll start with North Carolina, just since you were just talking, and it's, I mean, there were some comments made afterwards, some inquiries. It's like who exactly is he talking about when he's saying who needs to be killed here, and his campaign came back and made some remarks, sort of temper down concerns, and we can share the post link, people can check it out more. But the point is, like, he made these very vague comments that seem to align with other recent sort of MAGA Republican commentary of, immigrants are killing and raping and pillaging, to go along with Donald Trump's debate remarks of, immigrants are killing Americans in the hundreds of thousands. It's this idea of, this horrendous violent crime occurring all over the nation, and sort of this tough guy, we need to take care of this, right? But they were kind of nonsensical, vague remarks that he made, but sort of the idea of this guy standing at the church pulpit calling for killing just is so bizarre to me, right? I mean, it's just so bizarre. And you want to go, when you throw back to the Old Testament as sort of, vengeance and violence, like, there's a lot of things in the Old Testament that most people don't want applied, today, right? Literally the way it was in the
Mhm.
Old Testament, and sort of these tough guy macho calls for violence wrapped up in faith is just the absolute worst to me of the Republican Party today. It's just really uncomfortable, and then you add on to that the additional concerns people have with the Supreme Court decision on immunity. By the way, hat to Bradley Balco for a great write-up on the Supreme Court's immunity decision. But it was really ugly, and so I don't understand the remarks. I don't think they lack context. The article kind of puts it out there, like, I mean, he's making these comments publicly, and while he's not being specific, it's very unsettling for a current elected official striving to be governor to make these comments. And again, at a church, like, I can only imagine the applause of the church, which just makes me so irritated. I'll leave that there, Dave, and just talk about Nashville quickly. I mean, I love these cowards, right? These absolute ass clowns jumping out of U-Haul trucks where they mobilize, sitting in the back of a truck with their boyfriends, masked up, the same folks that are freaking out about people wearing masks for their health or for COVID, wearing masks to hide their cowardly pussy ass faces, right? Then going down the street with their boyfriends, hand in hand, trying to intimidate people with their white supremacist bullshit. I'm glad the counter protesters come out. I don't wish for them to partake in violence against these protesters. People have a right to be dickheads if they want to be. But I feel sorry for the people of Nashville to put up with this bullshit as these guys come into town, with these deliberate, mobilizations to bring them in. It's just such nonsense. It's so absolutely not who America should be. But sadly, because of the types of things happening around us, assholes like this feel emboldened to do things like this and to come out and be themselves. But because they're cowards, because they're turds, because they're cat turds, right? They do wear masks. They don't want to admit who they are. They hide in their groups, right? It's a sense of fraternity they have with one another. But nothing says I'm a cowardly piece of crap more than I'm going to gather together with all of your little man friends, dressed in your cute little uniforms, covering your cowardly face, and then protesting through the streets. Hey, I'd much rather see a loud, wild LGBT parade than I would seeing a bunch of Patriot Front cowards walking through the streets. And I think most of America agrees with that, right? And that's why these things are rejected, right? I don't care for protests or parades by anybody, but I definitely can't stand seeing, dickheads like this feel emboldened to do things like this in a great city like Nashville.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Andy, that's quite a rant. I like it. But yeah, we have a country that you can believe what you want to believe, and that's okay, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're allowed to do that. Um, but if you're gonna take this thing, if you're gonna march in front of everybody, fucking take your mask off.
Yeah.
Like, be proud about it. I mean, let's be proud, right? Show it off. Let us know who you are, and just so we can operate under that. I just get disgusted when these people are walking down with the American flag as if there's some sort of they represent some sort of belief that they somehow, and I think I heard some of the snippets online about what they were talking about. It just the belief system, how they kind of read into this is their land, and therefore they have to fight to have it back. It just is, it's ridiculous. And so yeah, look, if you want to believe that stuff, that's on you, but don't fucking show your face. So all right, Andy, that wraps up our third segment, and not a bad start to a week, Andy. I don't think
Yeah,
that.
not a bad start to the week, Dave. Great moment in America, but exciting stuff all around. I think we're seeing internationally, in politics is interesting. What we're seeing in world soccer is fascinating. It's an interesting time for sure. And Dave, just worth acknowledging, Threads turned 1 year old last week. I think
Oh yeah.
it's been great to see sort of a celebration there as more and more folks I think are getting active there. So nice to see that, and we always appreciate folks, communicating, sharing, and reaching out that way as well. So works out. And if you haven't seen Mark Zuckerberg's maybe the greatest video of the 4th of July at all, with him, on his board being pulled along the American flag in a suit. It was ridiculous and it was awesome. So hat tip to Zuck for getting that posted.
Yeah, talk about pieces of shit. But yes, yeah, good on him to do
Uh,
that, Andy. Yeah, so a great time for sure. Andy, I've been trying to get more into Threads and be on Threads a little bit more. I'm still struggling with some of the discussions on there. Some of it is like more of like a personal sharing platform. Maybe
yeah,
that's the community part
yeah,
that like I'm just not used to. So good on it, but we'll see. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying.
yeah.
I've almost completely lost the beat on X now, just because it's gotten just
It's garbage.
the
So
the garbage is like the new, like what I used to go there for was a lot of like the news headlines, a quick let me just go check what's going on.
yeah,
And now it's just so much filtered garbage. Even the for you section, which is only people you are following, or I'm sorry, the following section,
yeah,
that stuff's even getting garbage. The people who are posting there, the content is just getting really bad.
yeah.
Just in general. So I'm still struggling with where I fit on the social platforms, Andy. So.
Yeah, I tell you, Dave, Threads came out. I was on vacation. I jumped on it. Um, I, I, I barely posted again to X since then. I've replied to a couple of your posts, and I felt compelled to share a couple of work items for the first like couple of weeks. And other than that, I was glad to be off of what that platform's become. So it's sad because Twitter was a lot of fun. I
Twitter
enjoyed
was a lot of
had a
fun.
lot of utility in it, but Twitter is definitely dead. X definitely sucks. And personally, I enjoy Twitter. Some great. I mean, whether I'm cheering for the Lions or talking health and fitness or whatever random bullshit, it's I find it to be a very positive and fun community. And I don't mind that there's less politics on there. It's not the go-to news source. So like my work-related activities are less there. But I think that community will grow. Hopefully. But I still get value out of it. I still enjoy it both professionally and personally. It's just silly. It's useful, but it's also silly fun, and it's a much more positive environment than the disaster dumpster fire that is Zitter. But that's neither here nor there, Dave. I know we got to wrap up. So happy Monday to you. Happy 8th of July to you and those that are listening. And hopefully I'll get today's post out without too many typos because I seem to be typo ridden on my social posts. So we'll see what happens.
Well, there you go. Let's see what we can always hope, Andy. We'll start off the week strong. All right, Andy, I'll catch up with you next time.